All right. All right, guys, good afternoon. Welcome aboard to the aftermarket recap. My name is Carlos Garcia, founder and CEO of G.A.R Capital. Thanks again for taking the time out of your day to join me today. On the YouTube channel, we do this every afternoon, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure to hit that like button if you like these videos, subscribe to our channel. Thanks again, as always, for your support. Love to do it. All right, let's get to business. The Dow came up 618 points. Very nice today. We did close, I believe, near the highs of the day, not exactly the highs of the day. Nasdaq up 1.5%, S&P up 1.86%. The VIX came down slightly. Actually, interesting that it's still elevated, down 3.23%. There may be a reason for that. We're going to go over that. I know there's a lot of lines on my screen. I'm going to explain it all. And again, welcome aboard all the bloggers that are in part of the G.A.R Capital live market blog. I sent the channel information out. So this is your first time. I'm glad you're on board and I'm glad you're enjoying the blog. Small caps did gain today, 1.21%. Equal weight S&P up 1.4%. So again, the Dow being the big winner. I talked about this on Twitter today. The largest weighted company on the Dow is United Healthcare, a company that stock I own, and Goldman Sachs being the second weighted, and they also had a fabulous day. UNH was a lot higher. It's up 1.31%, but Goldman Sachs had a day, up 3.2%. So that elevates the weight of the Dow Jones Index. So give a little context. When people say 618, up 700, give a little context that it is weighted. The dollar index helped the backdrop for equities. We talked about that this morning, down 1%. Yields creeped up a little higher, but nothing too crazy. Still below, still at 2.859% on a 10-year. I read an interesting article on the Financial Times regarding reverse repo. So again, about $2 trillion in just in cash was transferred or participated by Fed banks. So again, they deposited into short-term repo rates with the Fed. They hold all that excess cash because there's actually a high demand, guys, for short-dated treasuries. How about that? So again, there is a lot of demand for short-dated treasuries. This is according to the Financial Times, but there's not a lot of issuance of short-dated government debt because government spending has curved. So keep in mind that less government spending is deflationary. So keep that in mind as well. So possibly TLT might bid on that as reverse repo rates continue to be used as the banks use that as their overnight lending or overnight excess cash. Think of it as a cash sweep account on your brokerage where you have the stocks you have and then any excess cash you have, which is just sitting there, it gets swept into a money market every day. And that's just how it works, depending on how you trade. So, a $10,000 account, you traded $8,000 today. You bought stocks or whatever, $2,000 is left. They do a cash sweep into an account, which is either a brokerage savings or a money market equivalent or like a regular high yield savings or what have you. Think of a regular savings account at your bank. That's kind of what these mega banks use to preserve the liquidity because they get some kind of yield out of it. And again, there's a hunt for yield here because there's a lot of cash sitting. There was an interesting article I read as well on Zero Hedge regarding record buybacks. Zoom reported today, which was nice. They beat estimates and had a really great posting on the EPS. Wow. Last I checked, they're up 13% after hours. And there's also a note that I posted on Twitter. Feel free to take a look at that regarding the estimate of end of the month rebalancing for buying equities. Remember, the typical portfolio or typical fund is 60-40, 60% equity holdings, 40% bonds. If that becomes disproportionate because either equities go higher or bonds go lower or bonds go higher and equities go lower, depending on the contrast, you have to rebalance it by buying that said asset that fell to rebalance. That's how it goes. And it works vice versa. Sometimes you have some to sell. When equities get too hot, they sell a little bit in order to rebalance those portfolios. So again, that's a powerful market driver today. We're going to go over that on the chart. GLD gold, we'll go to gold real quick. Gold came up about 0.54%. Silver off their highs, up about 0.5%. Crude oil pretty stable today, 0.28%. Gasoline fell 2.5%. Very, very interesting there. Let's see if maybe we hit peak or we're just slightly rolling over because keep in mind, guys, the dollar is down too. The dollar is down, and seeing the commodities roll over like that, that could be something. Bitcoin dropped really quickly right around 3 p.m. Very interesting. I'm going to keep an eye on that. 29,025. and Ethereum 1993. Apparently, there was a big liquidation among a Bitcoin whale. I think it was about $10 million. I posted it on Twitter. Feel free to take a look at that as you go along. Okay, let's kind of give a little bit of context on S&P. You know, my favorite chart to look at. This is an hourly chart. I know it's a lot of yellow going on. I'm going to break it down right here, 39.50. If you were part of the blog today, I talked about that being that key level of resistance this morning. I said we need to break 39.50. I would love a retest and a bounce, and we did that today. There's a question from Austin. I just read it. It says any trades on the day. I hit 4 today. I hit Qs. I hit AMD. I hit Apple. And I hit Microsoft today, all calls, 4 of them. So well done by the team. But again, 39.50, I'm still holding those positions, by the way. 39.50 being that initial breakout point. Now you can possibly say, Carlos, well, it's really 39.55. So again, 5 handles plus or minus. So we got that break, and then we retested back at 1 p.m. Again, lower volume. See the volume here? Lower volumes. But we continued higher, which was very, very strong to see at close. That's where I got the other trades. So again, very nice break, kind of what we were looking for, ascending triangle. Again, other than this big flush, the double bottom is kind of invalid here. But again, with the economic backdrop, a lower dollar, we're seeing rebalancing of equities, end of the month. We have a holiday weekend coming. Yeah, it kind of fits the description of just end of the month rebalancing and shorts just getting out. Would I be excited for this price action? No, and I'll tell you why. By looking at why I have an alert around 40, 43, 40, 40. Guys, today being a nice day, it's very nice to be positive. I'm with it. But nothing meaningful has broken. Look at this downward channel on S&P futures. Look at my exact level to break out. And even that is not sustainable because we had that same breakout at 4,300 back in the earlier months. So again, in order for us to kind of really clear what we're going through, or see if we get a continuance to the upside and not just a rejection of 40-40, which might be a good put there or a good place to start buying some insurance on your portfolio, whether it be puts, some spreads, maybe selling some upside calls, whatever you prefer, or buying some VIX directly. 40-43 is a key level because that breaks us out of that downward channel. And then the next level higher, again, we talk about it constantly, 4101 being the Russian invasion lows. That was the low that was tapped and then bounced. So again, very key level, 4101. If we bounce above there, then we start having the conversation of 4252, so on and so forth. But looking at here, this purple line being the 20-day moving average, we're still not near there. We still need about 90 handles, 80 points, 80 handles. But this is what concerns me, is this downward channel. Because all we could do is just retest 40-40. And I told the bloggers today, I think we have clear skies until 40-40. Very nice air patch here. No moving averages, no kind of key level of resistance that we can see here on the daily. But looking at 40-43, that's a key level again for that break. 40-62 would probably be a nice confirmation being above the 20-day and breaking out of this channel. Look how similar that looks, guys, to NASDAQ. And again, I'm not against holding any kind of calls until we get there. But again, that has to be a level for everyone to watch, is NQ here around 12.3. Why? Because that could reject extremely quickly. Hell, we could get an extra 50 points off that and reject as well, like we did just a couple of weeks ago. So again, the downward channel still holds. A nice green day. Yes, I'm excited. I love it too. But again, we're not out of the woods yet. So keep the excitement at bay. It's a nice day. But even the sharpest market bounces, guys, happen in a bear market, not in a bull market. In a bear market is where you get those sharp bounces because there's a lot of short closures, closing of shorts. Taking a look at the VIX here. Again, kind of at support here, 28 or so, 28.20, let's call it. Kind of a double bottom here. Let's see if we do break down below. If not, we got 27 coming. We filled all gaps, nothing to fill here. ES did not fill its gap, which is kind of concerning, but I'm not too concerned. You can see 39.05, that gap was not filled. Pretty close, but not quite filled. Do the algos see that? Do they play it? Sure, I think we're a little above reproach here. I think you have clear skies to 40-40. The only issue I have is that we do have Fed meeting minutes on Wednesday. If that comes out a little too hawkish, then we may get a possible rejection of 4,000. Let's see how Asia does overnight and see if we get any more buying. Let's get some questions here. Austin's asking about Tesla. Let's take a look at that. Tesla up about 1.66%, was actually down this morning. Nice bounce. Let's go ahead and take a look at the 2-year daily. Gives us a real broader picture. And you could see that it did test that support here of around, let's say, let's call it 640, 640, 635. So again, very, very big support here on the 2-year, on the daily. The really big support I'm seeing here is 552, 550. That's where it gets extremely interesting. The problem is that what's scary here is that we have a couple of gaps here, guys, from 2020. And this was trading at 250. Could that happen? I mean, that'd be pretty terrible because a lot of derivatives attached to the stock. It's part of a lot of ETFs, a lot of funds. A lot of capital would be dried up or wiped out, literally like that. Billions and billions, hundreds of billions probably, but we wiped out. So I don't think we get there. I think 552 is definitely in the cards, would be a place where you may want to start nibbling at Tesla, especially according to their PEG ratio. It's better than Amazon, that's for sure. Amazon's very expensive. Let's take a look at Zoom. Zoom had that earnings today. You can see that big pop to 108, kind of fading back to 96. We talked about those kind of moves before. Again, imbalance, small volume. Let's see how we get at the open. Let's see what the analysts say on Zoom. But this will be a nice boom to those stocks that are kind of in that category of the high beta, high growth, coronavirus stay at home stocks. So if Zoom could beat, remember, this was a high flying name. Look how high went before, 588 to now 89. $500 off basically. We have some gaps to fill in the upside around 340, sure, but we got to get some meaningful moves to the upside. I'm talking about possibly 124 before you even start considering maybe even wanted to buy Zoom. If anything, if you have some Zoom and you hate it, this is your opportunity to possibly sell it on this price action because who knows if you're going to get another 14, 10% pop on a name like this. So it depends on the perspective. Are you want to sell into the strength? Do you want to buy into the strength? That's really for the individual investor to decide. As always, that's what makes a market at the end of the day. So that's where we got, guys. That's really the only concerning thing is really that downward channel for both ES and NASDAQ. I want that to be on your focus for the week because that could happen pretty quickly. Don't be surprised. We get to 40-40 and we reject pretty hard. If we break above it, hey, I'd be happy because that means 4101 is coming. But watch out 40-40. Remember that. Have a great rest of your afternoon. We'll catch you guys tomorrow for the morning note, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Cheers, guys.